All right, ready to dive deep today.
Ugh.
We're going to be exploring different paths to enlightenment and how to gain spiritual understanding.
Sounds fascinating.
Yeah, we've got some interesting sources today.
Yeah.
We've got excerpts from this talk by Supreme Master Ching Hai. It's called Real Doctrine and False Doctrine.
Okay.
And then we've also got this little snippet from a note that's just called New Note.
Interesting.
So get ready, because we're going to expand our minds, maybe challenge some preconceived notions.
That's what we're here for. I think one of the things that struck me is how Supreme Master Ching Hai tackles this idea that spreading truth, it isn't always easy.
Oh yeah, she's not sugarcoating it.
No.
She brings up this concept of what she calls Maya material, and she describes it as this negative force, like it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's almost like that pervasive negativity.
Right.
Have you ever noticed that? Like when you're trying to share something that you deeply believe in, it's like you're hitting a wall, you know?
Absolutely. It's like you're trying to push against a tide of negativity sometimes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know.
And she goes on to explain it. It's like this veil that separates us from truth, from our true nature.
It is. It's a veil. It's like a fog.
Yeah.
That prevents us from seeing clearly. And to navigate through that and then share truth with others.
Oh, that's hard.
It can be incredibly challenging.
It is. It's like trying to have a really deep conversation in a loud, noisy room.
Exactly, exactly. And you know what's fascinating to me is that she doesn't just stop there. She doesn't just say, oh, it's really hard, and kind of leave us hanging.
But she offers a solution.
Yeah.
She talks about this idea of transmission of light.
Transmission of light. Isn't that a powerful concept? It's like this direct download of wisdom and understanding that goes beyond just words.
That's a great way to put it. So it's not just learning stuff, facts, figures.
Yeah.
It's a deeper kind of knowing.
It is a deeper kind of knowing, and this is where she brings in the role of the spiritual teacher, the master. And she says that they are really crucial because they act as this guide to help peel back those layers of Maya and connect with our true selves.
Like they're leading us out of the fog.
Exactly.
Like back to clear skies.
Exactly, yeah.
So this kind of reminds me of that analogy, the one with the prince.
You're thinking about the lost prince, right?
Yeah.
Where he's raised as a beggar.
Yeah, he has no idea.
Yeah, completely unaware.
Yeah.
And she uses that to represent our own inherent Buddha nature, that we all have that spark of divinity within us.
Right, so we're all like royalty, but we just don't know it.
We are. We've just forgotten, our true heritage.
And so in that analogy, then the king represents that divine source.
Precisely. And then she talks about this messenger who is sent to find the prince and reveal his true identity. And that symbolizes the role of the spiritual teacher, guiding us back to our inherent wisdom and potential.
It's like that aha moment when you realize, wait, I'm not just this limited small self. I'm something so much greater.
Exactly. And the thing is, that journey, as much as it's a beautiful realization, it's not always smooth sailing.
Oh, no, definitely not. It's like even when we're presented with the truth that could totally set us free, there's still that part of us that kind of hesitates.
Right.
It's almost like we're scared to let go of the old familiar things, even if they're not really serving us anymore. It's like we get so used to playing small, that we forget how to dream big.
We do. It's a very human response. She calls it that influence of Maya, that negativity that keeps us trapped in this illusion.
It's like that voice in your head that whispers, wait, enlightenment? Are you sure that comes with, a guarantee of happiness? Because I kind of like my routine. I'm attached to my stuff.
It's funny because that's exactly it. It's that fear of the unknown. But she challenges us to go beyond those surface level doubts, and really dive into the heart of what true spiritual practice is all about.
And what I appreciate is she doesn't shy away from calling out some of those misconceptions and even harmful practices that have sort of crept into, spiritual traditions. Like she specifically mentions animal sacrifices in Taoism and Confucianism.
Right. And it's not that she's just criticizing these practices. She's actually taking the time to explain why they deviate from the real essence of spiritual practice.
So it's not just about blindly following rituals.
No. It's about understanding the deeper meaning behind them.
Right. So it's about connecting with that source of, she calls it infinite merit within.
Infinite merit within.
Which is such a powerful concept. Like it's that wellspring of wisdom and compassion that's already there inside each of us, right?
It is. It's this boundless reservoir of positive energy that we all have access to.
And it's not about earning it, right? It's about aligning with it, like letting it flow naturally.
Exactly. So true practice isn't about putting on a show, it's about cultivating that inner connection.
That makes so much sense.
And this leads us to another really important point that she highlights, and that's the danger of ego in spiritual practice.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Hmm.
I've definitely encountered people who seem to use spirituality as a way to, like, boost their ego.
Hmm.
It's all about, look at me, I'm so enlightened.
It's a common trap, and she gives the example of like two types of people who recite mantras.
Okay.
Some find peace, others find mental disturbance and frustration.
Oh, wow. So what's the difference there?
The motivation behind the practice.
Right. Because if you're doing it to impress others, it's not really about spiritual growth.
Exactly. Those driven by ego, that sense of superiority, they actually end up increasing their own suffering.
Because it's all about me, me,
Right,
me.
exactly.
Whereas true compassion and wisdom, they come from a place of humility.
Of selflessness.
Right. And that's where she uses that analogy of borrowed wealth.
Oh, the borrowed wealth analogy is a good one. So imagine someone who borrows money to appear wealthy, right?
Oh, yeah? They're faking it.
They might impress people for a little while, but eventually that debt's going to catch up.
It always does.
Right, it always does. So in the same way, those who boast about their spiritual merits without actually doing the inner work, they're living on borrowed time.
It's like spiritual window dressing. It might look fancy on the outside, but it's empty on the inside.
You got it. True spiritual practice is about connecting with that unlimited source of inner merit and letting it flow naturally without needing to brag about it.
It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
You got it. And, she even shares her own personal experience seeking enlightenment. She wasn't content with just going through the motions. She craved that deep connection.
She wanted the real
A
deal,
real deal.
not just the surface stuff.
Not just the surface. And that really highlights the power of inner practice, of finding the master within, rather than just relying on external authorities.
It's like tapping into that inner wisdom that's always been there, waiting to be discovered, like a treasure chest buried deep inside.
Exactly. It's about moving beyond dogma and connecting with that inner knowing that's available to all of us. And then she introduces this really interesting concept of two types of sound. And she uses babies as an example, how they respond to sound. And she points out that babies often cry not just because they need something like food or a diaper change, but because they're longing for something more.
It's like they're missing that connection, that sense of peace they felt in the womb. Like they're already seeking that superworldly sound.
Exactly. It's as if they're already attuned to it on some level, even before they can understand language.
So if this superworldly sound is already within us, how do we tap into it?
Well, that's a question we'll dive into in the next part of our deep dive.
Stay tuned, folks. We're just getting started. So that superworldly sound, it's not like the music we hear every day, right?
No, not your typical top 40. It's more like, have you ever heard a piece of music? And it just like moves you,
Yeah.
deeply, evokes emotions, maybe even a sense of connection to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah.
That's what the superworldly sound is like.
Okay.
But magnified. It's a sound that connects us to the divine, to that source of pure consciousness.
Oh, wow. Okay. And you mentioned before, like, even infants are searching for this.
Exactly. Remember, Supreme Master Ching Hai points out that babies cry not just because they're hungry or need a diaper change, but because they long for something more.
Yeah, like they're instinctively seeking that peace and wholeness they felt in the womb.
Exactly. As if they're attuned to that superworldly sound.
Right, even before they can, like, even talk.
Even before they can talk, exactly.
That's amazing. So it's like we all have this longing for something more.
We do. It's innate within us.
That desire for connection and peace.
Absolutely.
So if it's already within us, how do we tap into that?
That's where the practice of meditation comes in. And Supreme Master Ching Hai emphasizes the importance of finding a true master.
Okay.
Someone who can guide you on that inward journey.
So the master doesn't, like, give us the sound?
No.
They help us find it?
They help you discover it within yourself. They help remove those internal obstacles.
Okay, like all the layers of Maya and everything.
Exactly. Those things that prevent us from experiencing it directly.
Okay, so what about those of us who maybe don't have access to a master right now? Like, how can we begin to cultivate that connection on our own?
Well, even though a master can give invaluable guidance, Supreme Master Ching Hai stresses that we all have the capacity for inner awakening.
Right.
But it starts with recognizing that this journey is about connecting with the divine within.
Not about, like, showing off how spiritual we are.
Not at all. No bragging rights here. It's about cultivating humility.
Right.
Recognizing our interconnectedness. We're all part of this, like, this web of life, you know?
It's a beautiful picture. So instead of trying to